Hello, everybody in New York. I'm running for president of these United States of America because I have name recognition, a solid progressive past, and the right agenda. And I realize that I can fix everything that is wrong with a very simple solution. I can also give common sense direction to those in whom it is lacking, namely those in government. I realize that I care about our country and its people more than I care about bankers and their profits, and that is exactly what's needed in the executive branch today. I am who I say I am. I'm a decent human being who lives her highest purpose every moment of every day for her family, friends, and neighbors in pursuit of sustainable green and cooperative farming and equitable community, and in service to what I feel is right, which is an end to the system of slavery, war, and usury. I do believe that I'm the best person in this country at this time who can make the case for solution-based economics and solution-based, small yet efficient government, sustainable permaculture, and resource-based barter systems, all in accordance with the well-being of our planet, the 10 key values, and I also suggest that we make getting food to the hungry our final cause. I call for a common sense revolution that uses common sense language with which to speak of it, to create commonwealth. With micro-lending to girls and women, we can increase the wealth of this country by 200% within 10 years by growing hemp that will allow us to feed, house, clothe, as well as create fuel for pennies for people. Wising up is all we have to do. If that sounds crazy to anyone present, I can only suggest that you missed the Republican debates. I heard more of them than I wanted to, but who didn't? Newt Gingrich's idea about a moon colony were everywhere. You know, when I think of the term job creator, I would never have thought of bold ideas like firing all of the custodians in our public schools and making the poorest school children do all the work. I guess it is a logical step, along with busting unions, using more and more prison labor as our manufacturing base, and flooding the country with foreign goods made in horrific sweatshops, because if it helps one of the richest among us pay less taxes, isn't that the whole idea? Speaking of whose candidacy is a joke and whose isn't, Rick Santorum actually won a few primaries. He looked out at the growing ranks of the unemployed and the homeless, thought things over, and said, birth control is a sin. Yes, the answer to the joblessness and our crumbling economy is some combination of more people and less sex. I don't get it either, but he's a man of faith, he says, and you can't argue with that. It's quite important to some people. One thing he made very clear is that Mitt Romney is the worst person in America to run against Barack Obama. I'm guessing that, like Mitt Romney, he'll be changing his mind on that and other things, but might threaten to help poor women or gays in a positive way. He talks about not allowing our gay and lesbian troops full civil rights to marry each other while they are at their lives serving this country overseas. Now, that is laughable. Now, let's take a look at the alleged other party. When I look at the prospect of 4 more years of President Obama, I want to immediately stop looking at that prospect. It's truly been obstructed and hampered by Republicans, but he's been hampered by Democrats too. In fact, the more the years go by, the more it looks like gridlock is not an obstacle as much as a strategy. Each side calls the other side irresponsible, heartless, naive, or cynical, and together they can accomplish nothing after a big show of self-righteous huffing and puffing. One thing that seems to continue all the infighting and opposition is that the rich continue to get richer and the poor continue to get poorer and more numerous. In spite of gridlock, wars, rumors of war, global warming, and economic meltdowns, nuclear power plant meltdowns, that keeps getting accomplished. The richest people and corporations just keep getting richer while the rest of humanity is sucking wind and told they need to do even more belt tightening for those who still have belts, that is. This much I do know. All of the Republicans are buffoons, and though Obama tries
very hard. He really cannot tell a joke well at all. His timing is off. I am the only serious comedian in this race. And I say, we hear we must cut all social programs so that we can reduce the staggering deficit, but who will suffer more, the children, elderly, poor, the sick, or the bankers who keep compounding the interest on that crushing debt they hold over our heads? I say, let's appeal to the humanity of those to whom we owe this money. China is not our biggest creditor. Bankers like those that comprise Federal Reserve are our biggest creditor. And we not ask for sacrifice from the very top, from the wealthiest institutions instead of those who are already struggling to bear the burden. I say it's time to set aside all divisiveness, call ourselves the 100%, and ask the wealthiest corporate citizens among us to step up and put their patriotism above profits and pay their fair share. I appeal to them to join the rest of us in sacrificing and sharing in the burden that they themselves created and profited from. I beseech the debt creators to ask not what this country can do for them, but to ask what they can do for this country at this time. Let's take a good look at those to whom we owe this crippling debt. Let's confront them with the idea of debt forgiveness, as we have seen in Iceland, as we saw President Roosevelt do, to reduce the principal on the debt. I ask those elite bankers of the Federal Reserve to at least consider what portion of the debt they could forgive. Could it go up to 1%, perhaps, or will it always remain at 0? Could predatory lending actually be outlawed in all monetary institutions and financial instruments, or shall we just do it for them, as is now becoming popular all over the world? Perhaps a smaller chunk of people's lives and work might be better than no chunk at all. Perhaps a bloodless revolution is not only possible, but probable. If corporations are indeed people, then perhaps corporations can also be taxed until they are underwater, like millions of middle-class and working-class Americans. Let's give American billionaires and billionaire oil companies a chance to be our partners and not our adversaries. For a house divided against itself cannot long stand. Thank you. Questions?
What I suggest is that we forgive student loans, and a lot of these students are living in their parents' homes. So once we forgive student loans, I think it will be a stimulus to the housing market, because they'll actually be able to leave their parents' home and put that money as a down payment on a house, and that's what gets our economy going, as housing starts. So I think. Thank you. And, all this money is owed to the same guy. So all they have to do is just, move it from one column to the next with the stroke of a pen. Really building up our family-owned farms. And, I encourage people to, do whatever we can to rid ourselves of the control of the Monsanto Corporation, so that we can return to being the breadbasket of the world, which is how we built a middle class after World War II. So I think that the answers are right there in front of us. We have to, and they're very simple. We just have to throw off the overlords and everything will be fine. And making them pay their fair share, forgiving the debts of, also the First Nations that live here. And, we just need to get that oligarchy off our back. And like every other country who's done that, we'll do fine. Well, I think I think if the Green Party can really take it to heart and learn something, it would be very beneficial to this party. And I think that is, we need to have a lot less factioning and a lot more support for the people like myself and Jill Stein and Kent Messplay and other candidates who have dared to come forward and to try to represent this party and these 10 key values. I think we need a lot more support from people out there, and I think we need to be treated less as suspects and more as heroic people who dare to come forward and take our place to join in these conversations and these public issues and these political issues too, because this is not easy. Believe me, this is not easy. And it's hard when the Green Party is not like fueling it. It seems like, that's something that internal politics, it needs to change. It really does. And I think that that's where I come in handy for the Green Party, because I am in accord with all 10 of the 10 key values. And I think that any time that any of those 10 key values are at all violated, that hurts the entire Green Party. And, as it does in any group where where there are people, any place where people go, we always find human error. But I think that we need to go outside of our own individual realities and our own individual egos to remember and remind ourselves that the 10 key values are what matters, and that they are perfect and they are fantastic, and they need to be discussed a lot more than Obama or Romney or any more of that stuff, any more of what's wrong. We need to talk about more of what's right and how we can solve problems rather than just be buried alive under the problems. And so I think I think it's a mindset, and I think that it's an important mindset that needs to be changed within every one of the Greens in America. The Green Party in America, I see it uniquely poised to really become huge over the next 10 years, and specifically in local elections over in the next mid-cycle. So that's one thing I also encourage. I think that I can. On another subject, I think that I can reach a lot of people, and I can go on a lot of media, which I'm just starting now. I'm going to be doing national media all next week, and big national media on television and on radio and in print. And I would just like to have support for myself and for Jill Stein and for Kent Mesplay. I'd like to see a lot of support for all of us. Because, we're out there doing it. If you want to, you can tweet me. Is that what they say it? Or Twitter? I don't know. Twitter or something. I'm at The Real Roseanne on Twitter. And you can, reach me there and ask me questions. I'd be happy to answer them there also. I'm actually for nationalizing all profits, all personal wealth over $100 million, too. I'm for nationalizing the profits of the Fed. I'm for nationalizing the profits of the Federal Reserve itself, not just getting rid of it, but it isn't a national organization. It's a foreign body in our country, and I think we should take control of it too. And I get that idea from Cynthia McKinney, who wrote about nationalizing the profits of the Fed in her campaign 4 years ago. So, I think they should nationalize everything because it does belong to the people who created it in this country. I would say that, yes, I know that we do not have free elections here in this country, and I really wish we did. And until we rid ourselves of the Electoral College, we will always be in perpetual civil war in this country, and that is a fact. And everything, not just in Haiti, but all countries, all over the world, the United States is making resource and land grabs to, take the water and the resources out from underneath the feet of the children who live there. It really angers me, and I wish I could talk about it for hours, but it's wrong. It angers me, and I think that. It's all the same thing, though. It's like a big river that all has the exact same source. And I think that I covered it when I went into IMF, World Banking, and stuff like that. They're the culprits in all of this. In this country, the Electoral College is the same as the Fed, and they're the same hands in the same water. So I would go to the top, and how I would address those things is continue to point my finger upward and put blame at the top where it squarely and certainly belongs. I mean, I'd like to talk a whole hour about AFRICOM and that whole thing. And, Haiti was, Haiti's private prisons and all of that. So I'd really like to talk about that in depth at another time. Well, people have, said that, Jill Stein and I, they've brought it to both of our attention that perhaps we should be co-presidents, because that would be something new and very much in accordance with the 10 key values of the Green Party, because we need more cooperation and less competition everywhere on earth, including in the party. So yes, absolutely. All of these policies, though, are just about gathering more and more power into fewer and fewer hands. They have the same headwaters. All of these issues do. And I think it's really important for us to know that and to continually point to that fact that all of these decisions are in the hands of about 1,252 people. And I think that's the problem with everything. And I think if we start there, we have a leg to stand on and something to build on too. But we have to go to the top, not the bottom, and work up. But like when we talked about grassroots organizations, that's all great, and I'm a total supporter of grassroots government, grassroots everything. But in this case, we need to not start at grassroots, except for to gather opinion and consensus. We need to all, left and right, and everybody in between, we need to all coalesce, unify, and take it to the top, the very, very top, where and that place is called Wall Street. I say, when I talk about Wall Street, also I say, Mr. Obama, tear down that wall. How can people go around thinking that they can get away with resources and water out from under the feet of the people who live in other countries? Where do they get that vulture investor mindset, that psychopathic vulture investor mindset, that they think that they are not going to be hunted and arrested and have charges brought against them for these war crimes? And I'm also very thrilled, because I think it's starting in Kuala Lumpur, where they convicted Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld of war crimes according to the Nuremberg conventions. This is starting in Iceland. We are on our way, and I do believe we keep talking to each other, keep supporting each other, that's why I'm running for president, because I'd love to tip it. Oh my God, that's another huge one. I used to have a joke in my act about Mexicans sneaking into what used to be their country, but it tells the truth. It's like just rotten from the top down. The way we think and the way we conduct business, the way we assume that we have the right to trample people's lives and to go and invade their countries for no reason, all of that stuff is just stuff you can't talk about in 2 or 3 minutes. It's something that we all need to sit together and like really air out and put some light on, because I know this much I do know: light does kill vampires. And I think the Green Party is in the unique position to do that. And I hope that you will me, because I'm with Jill Stein, with Ken Mesplay, a 3-way, whatever we have to do. I swear to all of intelligence, if we don't get on it, the things that will come to this country after the next election, I just don't know how most people will survive it. I'll tell you one thing, to those who are running, I so salute and support you. And I hope that maybe every person who's a member of the Green Party will at least consider running for school board, for whatever, however we can get in there. No matter who the next president is, we need to fill every seat in Congress to make sure that our people and our country, the people of our country, are protected against predators at the legislative level. Thank you, everybody.